Hey, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken. Today, guys, I wanted to talk about some more movies that need Blu-ray releases. Not just 4K releases, but just Blu-ray releases. And I did a video like this, I think about 9 months ago, and people seemed to really enjoy it, and it got the conversation kind of rolling about some other movies that might need Blu-ray releases. There's a lot of them, guys. There's a lot of movies. Like, we talk about 4K a lot. We talk about getting 4K upgrades for the movies that we love. We don't even think about the fact that there are still so many films that have not made the jump from DVD to Blu-ray. There's still so many films that haven't made the jump from VHS to DVD to Blu-ray. There's films that are out on VHS that are now getting 4K releases. They're like bypassing the other two formats completely. We need to talk about these movies. We need these movies to not be forgotten about, to not be lost in the past formats of DVD and VHS. We have to keep this conversation going. So I want to talk about 5 movies here today, but I honestly want to turn this into like a series of some sort. So I may title this part 1, even though it's not the official part 1. I had done a video like this before, but I may entitle this part 1. And yeah, we'll make more videos like this, guys, because I think it's important to keep this conversation going. Who knows who's gonna see this video? I doubt anybody important is gonna see this video, but you know, I like to keep the conversation going. I like to get this stuff out there so the people know we're not gonna forget about these damn movies. All right, if they're stuck on VHS, they're stuck on DVD, maybe they've never got a physical media release at all. Let's restore these to the best possible format. Again, I'm not expecting all of these to get 4K releases. I don't need 4K releases for every single movie, but at least Blu-ray HD would be nice at least. I mean, that's a good enough quality for me to enjoy some of these movies that I'm getting ready to mention. Now, of course, some of these that I'm getting ready to talk about, I would love a 4K for, but I'm not going to be greedy, guys. I'm going to ask for just the Blu-ray only. But look, let's get into it. I've been rambling long enough like I always do, but before we get into it, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We talk about physical media on this channel every single day. 4Ks, Blu-rays, only the movies that you love, all that stuff there behind me every single day on the channel. So if you like that kind of stuff, hit the subscribe button. Also, be sure to like this video, guys. Liking videos is very important. And then comment down below, guys. Open up the floodgates and comment all the movies that you know of that need Blu-ray releases and that you want to see Blu-ray releases. Let me know in that comment section below. Now, there are some movies that you might recommend in the comment section below that I already covered in my previous video. So go check out that other video that I did. I'll try to link that up there. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this. And what better way to start off than with a movie starring Hulk Hogan, the Hulkster himself. And I'm talking about Suburban Commando, which came out in 1991. Now, again, we're going to talk about these movies. We're going to talk about how we want them to come to Blu-ray, but I'm also going to be realistic about it. And I'm going to talk about what studios did these and what studios had the distribution rights now and the probability of these actually getting Blu-ray releases as well. So Suburban Commando came out in 1991. Like I said, I just watched this the other night on YouTube. It's starring Hulk Hogan, Christopher Lloyd, Shelley Duvall. Like, the cast in this movie is absolutely incredible. It also has Larry Miller in it, who I love. Like, everything I see Larry Miller in, I just love him and everything, especially the stuff that he did in the 90s. He was also in 10 Things I Hate About You as well, which he was great as the dad in that. But yeah, I love this movie. It's a sci-fi action film that, you know, feels very much for kids, but there's also some weird, like, darker elements that are thrown into the movie. There's moments in this movie that I remember being genuinely terrified of when I was a kid, but it's such a fun movie. Like, Hulk Hogan has like Arnold Schwarzenegger level one-liners in this film that I just so much enjoyed. I had not seen this movie since I was probably 12, and I watched it the other night on YouTube. I've said that 3 times now. And I just cannot tell you like how much I enjoyed myself and had a good time. Have you ever just had that movie that you haven't seen since you were a kid and you watch it and you're just instantly drawn back into it? Even though you know what you're watching is very cheesy, it's very of its time, but you just love it nonetheless. So that was me with Suburban Commando. Again, the lines that Arnold Schwarzenegger says when he drinks that thing of antifreeze and he just looks at the guy and goes, "Antifreeze." Like, it's such a cheesy line, but it's also great as well. I love everything about this movie. I think the villain at the end that comes down is super cool. Christopher Lloyd, like, I've never seen a Christopher Lloyd performance that I did not enjoy, so he's great in the movie as well. Shelley Duvall is probably the most attractive. I'll be honest, I didn't think about this when I was a kid, that I've ever seen Shelley Duvall look in a movie before. So this film has that going for it. So this was put out by New Line Cinema back in 1991. So Warner Brothers would have the rights for this now. I don't know. Again, we don't see Warner. I called Warner Brothers out for this before. We don't see Warner Brothers do a lot of just like standalone Blu-ray releases. Like though, if they're doing their back catalog, they're doing the Warner Archive, and I don't see Suburban Commando as a Warner Archive. Maybe, possibly, it could be. So I don't know, guys. Do they just go ahead and jump straight to 4K for this one? Because Warner Brothers definitely does a lot of their back catalog with 4K releases. I mean, they did Howard the Duck. Why not do Suburban Commando? But Warner Brothers, look, we need it on Blu-ray, we need it on 4K, we need it one way or the other. We need Suburban Commando. It will look amazing. It's a great film visually as well. It's got a lot of cool science fiction elements to it. But I love Suburban Commando, guys. What can I say? I need that on Blu-ray. Let's talk about my next pick, and it's Airheads. I don't know how I left off Airheads when I was talking about that, when I was doing my last video on the Blu-rays, the movies that need Blu-rays, but I left Airheads out, and I was like, I feel like such an airhead myself for not mentioning this, and I guess it's just because in my mind I was like, Airheads has a Blu-ray, right? Why would it not? But Airheads, guys, if you haven't seen it, Adam Sandler, Steve Buscemi, Brendan Fraser, who's having a moment right now with the whole whale thing, Oscar nominated. He was just nominated for an Oscar. It's such a great movie. It's such a great like rock and roll like style comedy from the early 90s. Now, it's been a long time since I've seen this movie, but I used to watch this over and over again. Absolutely loved it. So we need Airheads on Blu-ray, but I would take a 4K as well. And this came out in 1994. And look, you don't want to know who put this out, but it was Fox. This was a Fox movie. And of course, Fox is owned by Disney. So will we get Airheads on Blu-ray or 4K? I hate to say it, guys, and we'll talk about this at the end of the video again. I'll get into a whole diatribe on this, but I hate to say it, probably not. We'll probably never see Airheads on Blu-ray because Disney's not even putting their new movies out on Blu-ray. Barbarian still doesn't have a Blu-ray release. So do you think that they're going to pay attention to Airheads? I don't think so. Now, if they start licensing out their stuff like we all want them to, if they don't want to do it, let somebody else do it, then it's possible we could get Airheads. Wouldn't it be so awesome if we got like a 4K Vinegar Syndrome, like VSU Airheads release, or an Arrow video box set? God, that would be so awesome. There's so many movies that I would love to get that treatment. But yeah, Airheads, I just don't know if it's going to happen for us, guys. I just don't know. It's on DVD, so we can get it on DVD, but are we going to get on Blu-ray? Probably not, because Disney sucks. But anyway, let's get into the next one, House Guest. And this is a movie from 1995. I love House Guest so much. Starring Phil Hartman, starring Sinbad. Sinbad had a little bit of a moment in the mid-90s where he did quite a few comedies. He did Jingle All the Way, even though I think House Guest actually came out before Jingle All the Way. And did another movie, I think, called First Kid. So he had some comedies in the mid-90s. I always remember enjoying Sinbad and everything that he did. House Guest, though, was my absolute favorite because it had Phil Hartman, and he had Phil Hartman to play off of, and I just love Phil Hartman. He was such a great comedic actor, and just on SNL, he was absolute gold in like every skit that he was in. It's a shame that he was taken from us so soon, that whole tragedy thing that happened with him. But Sinbad, I think, is like trying to lay low from somebody, some kind of like crime boss or some kind of crime that he committed himself maybe, and he takes on the identity of one of Phil Hartman's past friends from college or high school. So Phil Hartman thinks that Sinbad is his best friend from high school or college. It's one of the two, but he's not. He's somebody completely different. So then hilarity ensues as he slowly discovers that Sinbad is not who he says he is. So it's a great comedy from the mid-90s. I absolutely love it. But you guys already know who put this one out. Disney put out House Guest. So are we going to get House Guest on Blu-ray? Maybe. I could see this one potentially getting a Disney Movie Club exclusive, but that's the only way I see House Guest coming out on Blu-ray. But this is one that, again, from my childhood, I absolutely love this movie. I would eat it up if it came out on Blu-ray for sure. But yeah, House Guest from 1995. Guys, if you haven't seen it, look it up. I'm sure it's available to like rent or stream or something somewhere. It's a great movie. It's so fun. And I love Phil Hartman. R.I.P. Phil Hartman. But anyway, let's get into my next pick from 1989, and that is Loverboy, starring Patrick Dempsey, P-Demp himself. And Patrick Dempsey had all kinds of great romantic comedy, coming-of-age films from the 80s. You think of Can't Buy Me Love, but Loverboy is one that I don't think gets talked about enough, and I just always love this movie. It has such a fun premise. Like, it's Patrick Dempsey, a pizza delivery boy, and he gets roped into having sex with a bunch of older women. You got Kirstie Alley in this movie as well, R.I.P. Kirstie Alley. And it's just such a fun movie. I love Loverboy. I don't feel like it gets talked about enough amongst like the 80s movies of its kind. And it's one that desperately needs a Blu-ray release. Now this one I think that we do have hope for, because TriStar Pictures put this one out, and Sony now owns the distribution rights for TriStar Pictures. So I think that this is one that we could actually see happen if Sony wants to put this one out, because Sony's always doing it. Sony does it better than almost anybody else other than Paramount, any other studio, as far as, you know, re-releasing their back catalog. You know, they're doing new Blu-ray releases, they're doing new 4K releases all the time. So Loverboy is one that I could actually see happening from Sony at some point on Blu-ray. I don't think we'll get a 4K of it. I could be wrong. Maybe we'll get a 4K of it, but I think that a Blu-ray could be possible if we all champion it enough. If you're a fan of Loverboy, I know you're out there. Somebody's out there that loves this movie just as much as I do. Let me know in the comment section below. Let's start a hashtag, get Loverboy to Blu-ray, because honestly, of all these ones that I've talked about, I think that this one has the best shot. Now let's get into my last pick, guys. And this is one that somebody recommended to me on a live stream like a year and a half, 2 years ago. I watched it on Tubi, and I was like, damn, this is one of the best movies from the 90s that I have ever seen. And that is Unlawful Entry from 1992, starring Kurt Russell and Ray Liotta. Just think about that cast. Kurt Russell and Ray Liotta. And again, RIP to another great actor, Ray Liotta. But this is such a great movie. I was completely just into this film, engrossed in this movie, captivated by the performances. Such a great storyline. It's kind of it's a thriller for sure, but it's also a little bit of a mystery. Keeps you on the edge of your seat until the very end. And the performances are just so good. Just the chemistry and the dynamic between Kurt Russell and Ray Liotta, who Ray Liotta kind of plays more or less the villain of this movie, which he should, because Ray Liotta is does such a great job as a villain, his character. And Kurt Russell, of course, is the hero in almost everything that he's in. So he plays a great kind of heroic type character, and the clashing of those two and their personalities and the dynamic and the performances, it's so damn good. Oh my God, I love Unlawful Entry so much. But you know who put this one out? 20th Century Fox, of course, which is owned by Disney. So guys, look, I just want to talk about this for a second. I want to have a little therapy session here, because this is why I keep talking about this. I keep beating this to death over and over again. Do you guys not know what it means? And I've heard people say that they don't have a problem with this because Disney bought Fox and now we get the X-Men in the MCU. It's like, is that the most important thing in the world right here? And again, I'm not trying to diminish, you know, those people and their thoughts, and they want X-Men in the MCU, and that's important to them, and I'm not trying to diminish that. I'm not trying to take anything away from those people, but you're sacrificing all of these films just because you want to see the X-Men and the Fantastic Four in the MCU. Like, that's why you're for Disney buying Fox. This is one of the worst mergers. This is one of the worst things that's ever happened to film, and especially physical media, ever. In the history of all this stuff, in my opinion, was the merger of 20th Century Fox and Disney, because now you have all these films. Fox has an incredible catalog of films that will never see the light of day on Blu-ray. I truly believe that. I don't think they'll ever see the light of day on Blu-ray unless a miracle happens and Disney starts to let some other people handle their stuff. You know, are they going to see the light of day on streaming? Like, I know that some of these movies are on Disney Plus or whatever, but I feel like there's so many movies that are going to get lost in time and are never going to make the jump in physical media formats, and they're just going to get lost, and it makes me sad. I don't want it to happen. You have movies like Unlawful Entry, House Guest, Suburban Commando. Like, some people might not care about these films, but I care about these films, and I want them to come out. I want them to be preserved like they should be preserved on a physical disc. And I don't want to have to think about, you know, am I going to be able to watch Suburban Commando in 20 years on YouTube? It was on YouTube last week, but will it be in a year? Will it be in 5 years? I don't know. I want the damn movie in my collection on Blu-ray in the best possible format that it can be on. So that's why I get so passionate about this, guys. That's why I get so hyped up when it comes to this. It's like, yes, it would be cool to see X-Men in the MCU, but I'm more concerned with all these movies that are going to be lost in time in film history than I am that. Maybe I'm being a little bit too dramatic. I don't know. But anyway, these are movies that I want on Blu-ray, guys. That's the video. I appreciate you guys watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know some movies in the comment section below that you would like to hit Blu-ray. I'm definitely going to do a part 2 of this at some point. But yeah, turn on those bell notifications and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.